Namaste. To begin with, let me share with you all an anecdote from my own life. So, this one fine day, we had a few guests coming to our house. So, my mother called me outside and asked me to greet them. So, just like any other person my age, I said my hi's, hellos, and how you doing to everyone. But turns out that my mother did not like it. She nudged me and whispered, Shailai, namaste. And so I did. I joined my hands, bowed my head, and uttered Namaste. But the only question that had been on my mind at that time was why? Such occurrences are quite common in my house. Shailai, wake up early in the morning. Why? Shailai, go to the temple. Why? Shailai, don't sleep with your head towards the northern direction. Nah. Why? What's the point? I am Shailai Tandon, a student of class 11 at Little Angels High School, Gwalior. I am 15, and like most teenagers, I was almost pestered with the reminders to follow these traditions, and thus decided to find out on my own. Was it really important? Do they even have a scientific base? And here I am to share with you all the immeasurable benefits that we can reap out of following these Indian traditions in terms of health, wellness, ergonomy, spirituality, and environmental sustainability. Let me start off by saying that each and every tradition that we follow has a scientific base. Right in the ancient times, our lives were engineered in such a way so as to bring out the best in us. Science was embedded into people's lives so beautifully that without even knowing it, we were doing everything scientifically. For instance, a very basic Indian tradition is to greet with hands folded in the form of namaste. A simple gesture, never thought about it much really. So imagine my shock when I happened to stumble upon this amazing fact that even this greeting is scientific. As we join our hands, we exert pressure on our fingertips, which are the pressure points for our eyes, ears, and brain, and help us to remember the person for a longer time. The languages of India. The arrangement of alphabets in the languages of India was also scientifically done. They're according to the shape of the mouth upon the emission of these sounds. Just looking at how deeply our ancestors went into these seemingly simple matters of greeting and the arrangement of alphabets compels one to think that how thoroughly they must have thought about more advanced matters. Let's look at the day to day traditions of India. Wake up early in the morning. Well, why? I can get up at 10 and still do whatever I want. Researchers have found out that most successful people are early risers. They are less prone to depression and falling prey to stress. Also, waking up early in the morning is related to superior problem solving skills. So remember that if you snooze, you lose. Also, the tradition says that when you wake up, rub your hands, put them on your eyes, and you'll see God. Well, no, certainly it is not about seeing God, but rather there is a heavy concentration of nerve endings on our palms, and when we rub them, it activates our body and helps us get rid of the grogginess. Our elders often advise us that we must not sleep with our head towards the northern direction, but we give such advice as a deaf ear. When we sleep with our head towards the northern direction, magnetic fields of our body become asymmetrical to those of the earth, and that might lead to severe health issues. India can easily be called a land of cultures, a land of traditions, or a land of tasty food. Well, I love food, especially Indian food. It consists of spicy sour taste mix, a dash of hot and bitter pickle, a yogurt based item, and a sweet. Now, did you know that the traditional thali was devised in a manner that it should contain each and every taste? Interestingly, each of these tastes has its own significance. We are advised to start with spicy food because it stimulates our digestive enzymes. The salty food increases salivation and aids in digestion and absorption. Pungent tasting foods like onion and garlic help with metabolism. Estrogen tasting food has properties to heal wounds. Bitter tasting foods kill bacteria, and at the end, the sweet tasting food brings down the digestive process. And that is why it is a device to be taken at the end of the meal. We Indians eat with hand. Unhygienic? No, there is nothing unhygienic about it, but rather a holistic nutritionist who goes by the name Luke found out that eating with hands helps our mind connect to our food better, and thus we tend to eat less but much more fully. Indians also believe in the concept of jhutha. Food consumed by one individual is never taken again by another individual. This is a very wise practice of hygiene and prevention of disease. We are living in an era where we use hand sanitizers for every second task but do not mind sinking our teeth into another person's ice cream. Now, are you one of those individuals who's always worried about life? Till what age should I study? When will I start earning? I'll get married by 30. Will it be too early or perhaps too late? If you are one of them, then worry not. Because the traditions of India have it all chalked out for you that when you must do what in your life so as to utilize your full potential. Under the ashram system, our lives are divided into four stages or ashrams: Brahmacharya, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. Science says, and as to the traditions of India, that the first 25 years of your life you must devote to learning, gaining knowledge, chastity, hard work, simplicity, and all of the good habits. Because it gets very difficult for us to change after the age of 25. So, in most cases, you will be what you make of yourself up until the age of 25. Next comes the Grahastha ashram. It stretches from 25 to 50 years of age. In this stage, you must start working and get married. Now, this system was devised thousands of years ago, right? Interestingly, recent studies found out that 26 is actually the peak age to get settled because by then our frontal cortex is fully developed, enhancing our decision making calls. Also, a psychologist found out that 28 to 32 appears to be the best age to get married. The next stage is Vanaprastha. Here, an individual retires from the worldly life and goes to the forest. This ashram focuses more on community services and the spiritual pursuit of life. And at the end, the sannyas. A sannyasi leads an ascetic life. Objects and facts have existed in the universe since time immemorial, but scientists realized them later. How? Well, to undertake a scientific investigation, one needs an idea, an intuition of where to look into and where we might start finding answers. Science, in other words, begets creativity. As the Dalai Lama has said, science will tell you about what is seen in the world, and spirituality will tell you about what is unseen. India has no doubt produced such great individuals like Ramanujan, Aryabhatta, C.V. Raman, S.N. Bose, and so many more. And perhaps the main reason for this had been the inclination of Indians towards spirituality. In ancient India, science and spirituality joined forces to allow an individual to utilize his full potential. It can without a doubt be accepted that yoga and meditation are really important for us. India has given an invaluable gift to the world in the form of yoga. Yoga can transform who you are physically, mentally, psychologically, and everyone today realizes it. In today's life, we see an abrupt hike in the stress and the anxiety levels of everyone, be it students, be it youngsters or elders. The workload is just too much, isn't it? And may I ask you, what would you suggest a person to cope up with stress? To pop a pill or to meditate? Meditation, of course. We turn to meditation, vipassana, and yoga only when compelled by the drudgery of life. But if we follow these simple traditions and do these meditation, yoga every day, we won't face these problems in the first place. Wake up early in the morning, go to a temple, and meditate. A temple appears to be a best place to meditate. Well, because temple building is again a science. Temples in ancient India were built in a way that there was lots and lots of positive energy available over there. And also, The rituals that we perform in temples are opening rituals for all five of our senses and the seven chakras of our body. Now, you might be thinking that, what? I have been going to temples all my life and I haven't noticed it. Well, that is the beauty of Indian traditions, that without even noticing things, you do something beneficial for your own selves. Now, let's see how. When we ring a temple bell, the rhythmic vibrations enter through our ears, activating a sense of hearing and helps our hyperactive mind to focus. When we offer flowers to the deity and the incense, it helps us boost our olfactory senses. The the small flame of the arti, its warmth helps us to open our sense of sight and of touch. And finally, my favorite part about going to temple, getting sweets, prasad. It helps us to activate a sense of taste. So while you are in temple, not only all five of your senses are activated, but also your body is charged positively. There are so many traditions of India, and they teach us compassion, honesty, integrity, respect, chastity, responsibility, discipline, and also sustainability. Sustainability has always been a core component of Indian culture. Many of the rituals, which to the modern society may seem meaningless, were initially traditional strategies to preserve the relation between man and nature. And perhaps that is why we worship plants and animals in India. So, next time you have a question or a doubt that why are we doing this? Why do we put tilaks on head? Why do we sit on the floor? Do what I did. Look for questions in traditions and answers in science. Because Indian traditions are highly scientific and they have survived thousands of years. People adopt customs after close scrutiny. And it is impossible for a custom or a tradition to last this long if it is not based on pure pragmatic wisdom. The traditions of India have survived the ravages of time and the successive assaults by foreign invaders. Here, I'd like to quote from the famous poet Iqbal: यूनानो मिस्टर रोमा सब मिट गए जहां से अब तक मगर है बाकी नामो निशा हमारा कुछ बात है कि हस्ती मिटती नहीं हमारी सदियों रहा है दुश्मन दौरे जमा हमारा. The traditions of India are geared towards an individual's ultimate and immediate well being, and that is the reason why they must be preserved. Clearly, there needs to be a change. But a change does not come on its own. It's we who bring about a change. Thank you.